and welcome. My name is Dave Oswego, and I'd like to welcome you here for our 8th grade portion of tonight's concert. The first half of this concert actually is kind of a repeat performance for us, but I know a lot of you were unable to attend our Veterans Day Assembly at Webster as it was during the school day. And the kids worked really hard on some of this music, and some of it was very, very challenging. And I really wanted to perform it for you guys tonight in case you weren't able to be there. So the first 3 songs were featured during our Veterans Day Assembly, like I said, back in November. It was during the school day. We invited a lot of area veterans into the school. We had it in the gymnasium. There was a lot of presentations going on from the veterans. Some students did a few things. And we played and the choir sang. It was a really, really awesome experience for the kids to partake in. I had asked that the students do a little bit of research, as probably some of you are aware of at this point, just looking into the history of their family and how many people have actually served in the armed forces. It's very easy to let some of those stories in history go unless you have to keep talking about them, or else they kind of die out. My parents, I remember when I was in middle school, had a very similar assignment. It wasn't for band necessarily, but I had no idea that I had some uncles, great-grandparents that had served in some of these conflicts. I had no idea. And it just, it wasn't that my parents were not bringing it up. Some of my relatives didn't like talking about it. It wasn't something that they really, they had memories that they didn't want to share. But it was really important to me as a kid to learn some of this. And so I really think it was beneficial for some of our students to find out some of these stories about their extended family members. We've prepared some slides that we'll be playing over the first couple of songs, where you can kind of see all the different veterans that are related to the students that are on stage here. Some of them are very, very close fathers. Some of them are great-grandpas, aunts, uncles, all over the board, second cousins. It's amazing to see how many veterans and current armed force members are related to the students on stage. So you'll get a chance to see that as it's going on. So we are going to start tonight's performance. I'm going to have Connor Cook come on down and introduce our first song. Connor?
Hi, I'm Connor Cook. America the Beautiful was first published as a poem by Catherine Lee Bates, an instructor at Wellesley College in New England. She wrote a poem after an inspiring trip to Pikes Peak in Colorado in 1893. Her poem first appeared in a weekly journal, The Congregationalist, on July 4th, 1895. Ms. Bates revised the words in 1904 and again in 1913. At first, the poem was sung to just about any popular tune that it would fit into. Eventually, it was paired to a song called Maternal, which was written in 1910 by Samuel A. Ward. This is a current version that we are all familiar with today.
Straczynski. Another patriotic song entitled America is more commonly known by its first line, My Country 'Tis of Thee. Reverend Samuel F. Smith wrote the song in 1932. Smith was reading through some German music given to him by a friend when he came across a melody that is known to us as God Save the King. This melody was used by many European countries as their national anthem, with the words changed to suit each country. Smith penned new words to it, and it was first performed at a children's Sunday school celebration of American independence at the Park Street Church in Boston on July 4th, 1932.
We're going to let the slides run a little bit. Unfortunately for me, last week I had a bunch of slides prepared, and I reminded students, hey, this is the last time you get it in. And I had this weekend, I had probably about 20 more slides that seemed to be added at the last minute. So actually there's a few more that I'm going to be speaking through right now until we play our next song. I want to take this opportunity now, while the slides are finishing up, to remind each and every one of you about our upcoming Soul and Ensemble Festival. It's at the end of February. It's a wonderful event, and I know a lot of you are already familiar with it if your child has done it in the previous 2 years they were in band. It's really a wonderful experience where your child will learn either a solo or an ensemble with a group of other musicians. It'll be music that is maybe a little bit more challenging than what they're used to in a regular band setting. It's something they're really going to have to work at home on and practice and have a little discipline with. But it's a wonderful experience because they have to go and actually perform it at a different school in front of a judge in kind of a scary environment, something they're not used to. So it really is a wonderful experience. I highly recommend it. It's not something that we force your child to do anyway. It's not mandatory or anything like that. But I would really ask that if it's something that you maybe have a conversation with your son or daughter about doing. This year, as 8th graders, they have a little bit more freedom to play some harder music, whether it be a solo or some ensembles. And I've talked to your children about this in band, and I'm hoping we get some bigger groups, like maybe some trios or quartets, or maybe even quintet. 5 students play. Not only do we have them go and do those ensembles in the solo ensemble, but if they do a really nice job with it, we even feature that group again at the end of the year at the 8th grade ceremony, their graduation or moving on ceremony, whatever they call it at the end of the year. They need musical acts to perform at that, and I'd like to reward the kids for their hard work. So if that's something maybe your child child is interested in, maybe have a conversation around the dinner table or even on the car ride home, or maybe if you're taking them to Culver's afterwards or Dairy Queen, you can maybe talk about it while they're waiting for their ice cream. Anyway, that's up on the horizon. Secondly, I also want to mention we've had a number of 8th graders this year who tried out for jazz band and made it. Jazz band is an audition-only group. I would like very quickly, at the risk of kind of interfering with some of the slides going on, could we have any 8th grade student who is in jazz band currently to stand up and please be recognized for your hard work? They too will be performing at the Solo Ensemble Festival. And just to remind you, the Solo Ensemble Festival is the last Saturday in February. We will, of course, send some information home regarding that. We won't sign up, though, until you get back from break, so you still have some time to think about it if it's something you're interested in. I'm going to have, at this point, where to go? Patrick, are you here? Patrick, you want to come up and introduce the next song, please?
Patrick Hayes. The 8th grade band would like to honor all those who have served or are currently serving in the military with a performance of Marches of the Armed Forces, which was arranged for band by Cedarburg composer Michael Sweet. The arrangement contains the Marines hymn, the caisson song for the Army, Semper Paratus, or Always Ready for the Coast Guard, the U.S. Air Force song, and Anchors Aweigh for the Navy. In our salute to those of you who have served or are currently serving in our armed forces, we ask that you stand when you hear your song and be acknowledged for helping to preserve our freedoms.
You beat me to it, Paul. I was going to ask you to take the house lights up a little bit. Again, if you hear your song and you've served in that branch, please stand up and let's give them a hearty round of applause when we get there. The students know you're going to applaud, you're not going to distract them. Let's be nice and loud for them, okay? Thank you for that. That was really something special to me. It was something special, I think, to the families of the veterans and especially some of the students on stage. I have some bad news at this point. Normally, the last few years, we have learned a bunch of holiday music, and we've always gone and performed at the Bayshore Mall. It's always been fun. We go down there, we play in the big rotunda, we go to Cops Frozen Custard afterward, I get some custard, so I'm happy too. And it's this wonderful, wonderful experience. But this year, due to budget cuts, they no longer offer performing groups to go in, so we were kind of stumped with going to Bayshore this year. But we did learn a bunch of holiday music. They're going to be playing for you tonight, and they're going to be also playing for our Friday assembly concert during the school day for the rest of Webster. So we're going to play just some of the songs out of our packet that are for the holiday season. We're going to start with my all-time favorite, Frosty the Snowman. In honor of the Hanukkah season, we'd like to perform the Hanukkah song. This is one of my favorites out of our holiday package. In mere fact, it's one of the only holiday songs that's in a minor key. And I love songs that are in minor keys. So this is the Hanukkah song. Before we go on, there are a grand list of people I need to thank that all contributed to making this evening possible. And I'd like to start with where we're sitting right now in the Performing Arts Center. We have a wonderful staff here consisting of Kathleen Koster, who is the box office manager, and also Paul Thur, who's the technical director. And they are such consummate professionals. I Can Walk has been started by somebody else long before these students even arrived at my first day of class in 5th grade. And those are the 3 elementary music teachers who do a phenomenal job, whether it be after school choirs, drum club, mallet club, all sorts of opportunities for these children to have a nice, wonderful music education before they even walk into my door. It makes my job a lot easier. So if we, and maybe students as well, you could give a round of applause for the following 3. Nathan Wunk at Parkview, Judy Plaster at Thorson, and Cassie Wilson at Westlawn. Finally, this is a bit on my end. I'm very, very privileged to be able to come to work and work with such colleagues that they challenge me each and every day to be a better educator, a better teacher. I always feel that I need to up my game to meet theirs. And it's just something that I really relish and something that I think makes me a better teacher every single day. And I want to mention those individuals right now. A couple directors that are no longer teaching here at Webster but have had their hand in the education of these kids, especially in the woodwinds, are both Pam Harrison and Megan Workus. I also need to thank at the middle school our choir teacher, Marissa Mitchell, who is always there to help lend a hand if we need any extra help or any ideas or maybe just to complain about things too. She's a good moral support person. And finally, 2 outstanding educators that I am so happy to be able to send these kids off to once they go to the next level of the high school. They are in good hands when they get to the high school with Clay Wackles, the high school band director, and Miss Victoria Benson, Ora, the choir director. If we could give all those individuals an round of applause. We're going to continue now with Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree. Last chance, I'm going to be selfish here. This is one of my all-time favorite movies, like the claymation, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. I'm sure you're all familiar with it. Well, my 2-year-old daughter just saw it kind of briefly on the TV the other day, and she was absolutely memorized, and I think she sat still for the first time in her life for over 2 minutes. It was wonderful. I have a new babysitter. Okay, this is Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. We hope you like it. been my absolute privilege to work with some of these fine young women and men. It's getting to be that point now where they're almost actually looking me in the eye, and I'm starting to love it. They're really starting to do some great things. I'm looking forward to working with them the second semester, and I hope our musicianship will inspire and impress you even more the next time you hear us. Thanks again for coming up. Good night.